The first reunion of the Borgerson family was held in Perham, Minnesota in 1936. This is the group as we see them then. The mother of us all is right in the middle. There she is. This is another picture from Fargo, North Dakota, at the home of Mabel Pancratz. There's Carl Pancratz and our brother Arthur. And as we go along, Paul Pancratz and a good many of the other Pankratzes are in here. I'm going to give you Leota Pancratz to explain it.
Well, I see John in the back peeking at me, and Jim right there in the front with the little mad face, and that baby is Sally. There's Paul. There's Paul.
Now we're back to Mother Borgerson, and now here must be another reunion because they are the Thayers and the Edenborgs. Lucille is with us. There's Pancratz again with Paul. And the other Pankratzes that were just enumerated, Billy Thayer went by just a moment ago. Now we're back to Carl Pancratz, Billy Thayer again, and this is Mother Borgerson once more. There's Carl Pancratz once more. No wonder they took so many pictures of him. He's a handsome guy. There's our surgeon brother from Minnesota, and Billy Thayer once more, Art Borgerson, and
Jim.
Pancratz again with Jim, and Thayer's once more, Art again, and Billy Thayer, and Pancratz. Now this is Paul Pancratz, Leota's husband, and his dad, Carl Pancratz. Now there's Mother Borgerson and Dr. Borgerson from Minnesota, reminiscing, I presume. Now, he was the patriarch of this group for so long. He passed away just within the last few months, and now I've become the patriarch, which means the old fart. And I guess that's the only reason why I've been appointed to run off at the mouth here. There are good reasons why somebody else should do this, because, you know, if we throw in a little Montana guff and some innuendo and a lot of BS, we should have Fulkerson here. Unfortunately, he's not with us yet.
Is that Rosemary? I mean, no, that's Joy.
It could have been, because that's Billy. There we are. The Thayers and the Pankratzes are very much in evidence right here. Now there's Edenborg, Lucille, his wife, and there's Roy Edenborg again. The Pankratzes are back. There's Pearl Fulkerson, Art, and Mabel Pancratz. And I'm trying to think where this was. You know, my memory hasn't failed me a damn bit. I've just got a hell of a good forgetter. Here comes Mabel Pancratz again.
Aren't they
Yeah.
pretty? They look alike.
Yeah, yes, indeed.
Beautiful girl.
There's Grover Fulkerson. He's everybody's favorite. And unfortunately, he had a child named Jean. No, there's Grover again. Now, I think I'm trying to spot where we are, and I can't do it.
Yeah, I bet you're visiting Art and Louise.
I
They're the
think,
Tools.
yes, and isn't that Weber?
No, that's Tool.
Oh, Tool,
Tool
yes.
from
Another
Chicago.
Pancratz relative.
That's, yeah, Rose.
Yeah.
No.
There's Billy Thayer close up, and his brother-in-law, Art. There's Art's wife, Louise. And she is a survivor. Art, her husband, passed away.
No, I don't know who that is.
This is one of Art's colleagues in Long
In the
Prairie,
mine.
Minnesota.
Mhm.
We're in Long Prairie now, huh?
Yes,
Mhm.
this would be near their establishment there in Long Prairie. Billy Thayer is back. Oh, I think this was a reunion. We had one in Sauk Center once. There's Louise Borgerson, Art's wife. Yeah, everybody walks toward the camera in those days. That's to show action and give you a close-up as well. I think it was well done. I approve of it.
Snow time.
Louise again. And Art once more. That kind of looks like Minnesota with all that snow and those heavy clothes. Oh, there's Wallace and Art and Miner, the three Borgerson brothers. I'll bet that's the only picture of the three of them together you ever will see. Miner and his wife Mabel, Miner and his mother, Marino Borgerson,
Jimmy.
and Grandma
Jimmy.
and
No,
Jimmy.
That's a Bob Borgerson or something, isn't it?
Oh, I was wrong. That's not Jimmy. That's Bob Borgerson. Here's again Miner's wife and Miner's mother, Mabel Borgerson, and oh boy, here's the old school at Eglin, North Dakota. Well, we're going to see some nostalgic scenes here now. There is the Presbyterian Church in Eglin, North Dakota, where Garrison used to preach. We lived in this house right next to the schoolhouse, and I'll always remember that home and that fence.
That's not Jim.
My
See
golly.
now, but I'm not sure it's Bob, but
I
it's
wish
not
I
Jim.
could date this, but I simply can't. That's that church again. Miner's wife, Miner's mother, and
Miner's
That's
boy.
Miner's
oh,
boy.
now here are two of Mother's oldest friends. Jackson was their name.
Oh, really?
Andrew Jackson and his wife. Long gone now, all three of them. Oh, my, yes, no. This still must be Eglin because those folks are there. Oh, there's Miner's store in Eglin, and then Miner and his wife.
The old family store.
Miner again. He's the best looking of all the Borgerson boys. No wonder his kids are handsome. Miner and Art, I think they were taking a visit they were making in Phoenix.
Is that Gene Dunham?
I couldn't say.
That was Louise right there sitting.
Oh, this must be at our mother's funeral in Candu, North Dakota, because it looks like the front of Smithy's home, Tina's house. There's Agnes,
Mabel.
Mabel,
There's Mabel.
and Tina,
Tina.
Agnes again, Pearl, Joy, all of the Borgerson sisters, and Miner behind, Art, and way to the right is me. That's me sticking my nose in again. There comes Grover Fulkerson, and more of the sisters, some of the wives.
They all get those black coats.
Yeah, they're all wearing those black outfits, I guess. Not long ago, that was customary for the funeral.
Funerals
And those sisters all
Oh.
There's
Well, it looks
the
like they all-
family.
It looks like they all came smiling through, at any rate. Grover was the life of the party then, Grover Fulkerson. Now I think,
Harry.
oh, there's Harry Baser, Reverend Harry Baser. Miner again. Now there's a Borgie store in Eglin. Now it must have turned summer all of a sudden and we've flown clear back to Minnesota. And then back to Eglin once more. I don't know who put this film together, but I'm really proud of them. They got things, they gave us a mix. Now here's Miner again in his store.
There's Paul.
Pancratzes are showing up, and here's the Pancratz.
Yeah, that was Paul there, and here's John and Jim and Mabel sitting in the chair, and Carl. This is, I think, a visit that they made to Art and Louise in Sabika. And Lucille's there. That's very nice.
Well, thank you, Leota. That's very nice for you to fill in authoritatively here and there. Let me orient this thing if I can. It'll take a moment.
That's John and Jim.
Yeah.
Caps.
Leota says that's John and Jim. Look like a couple of pretty
That's
wonderful,
Sally,
sassy
baby
kids
Sally.
in there. Little Sally.
Lucille and Roy.
Once more, the clan has gathered somewhere. We'll identify this if we can. We've all met those people a couple of times already. But you know, they get together here and there.
That's the Bob grown up, isn't it?
That's Bob.
Yeah, that's Bob Borgerson with his mother Mabel.
And there's Jean.
He looks just the same as he did when he was.
Art again with Mabel and Bob.
And there's Jean.
Yeah, that's Jean.
That's Jean.
Jean Donovan.
Mabel to the left. That's Mabel.
There's Mabel and Mabel now. Yeah, here comes Art walking toward the camera.
We have some older pictures.
And that's Louise. Jean Donovan. That is quite a little while ago. She's still a kid, isn't she? And a beautiful smile.
That's not Long Prairie. That's Louise and Jean Donovan. But that's not in
Right.
Long Prairie, is
Right.
it?
Yeah.
That house doesn't look like
Yeah.
it.
Well, that is Art and Jean Donovan.
And Louise.
And there is Louise, Art's wife. And again, of course, Art. Yeah, Louise again. Nice looking lady.
Very nice.
Kind of like they all are. There's some of the Basier clan, Harry and
Jean.
Jean and Agnes. And Art again. Harry's behind there, and didn't we just see a peek of Jean?
And again.
Like to Mabel Borgerson.
There's
Jean.
Agnes.
There comes Agnes. Didn't I think I see Bernie for a moment there? Lucille Edenborg and Roy Edenborg. Here comes Art once more. And Louise again. I wish I could date this. It's probably a reunion. Oh boy, some expert boy. Must not have been a gutter or a strike. They don't look happy or unhappy. Oh, that's what it is. Shuffleboard. Comes Mother Borgerson. And Art is with her. I'm trying to think of where this is. There's Wallace and Art together and Wallace and Mother together. And Wallace and Mother.
Did she stay with Roy? Now we're back to the Pankratzes again.
Wasn't it nice I kept my mouth shut for so long?
When in doubt.
Mm.
Oh, that's it.
Ed Kroom, Tina's late husband.
Tina should be there too then, shouldn't she?
This must be Minnesota. I see lakes. I see boats. I see Thayers. I don't know whether he's proud of his license plate or his car.
Following the map. Following the map.
Somebody must not know the way. Oh, he knows how to handle youngsters. Now somebody, oh, that looks like Lucille's dog. Was it?
Yeah, this is
Bob
somebody
Borgerson.
that visited them. I can remember.
Oh, this is, I am being told this is a visit to Bob's. So, and then there's Minor again.
Bob.
And that must be Dr. Donovan.
And his sister Jean.
Yeah, and Jean Donovan, nay, Jean Borgerson.
And me.
Minor and Mabel. And the Donovans. Perhaps made in Denver. That's where the Donovans lived, anyway.
Yes,
More
Jane and
Donovan.
Mark.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Minor, his daughter Jean, his wife Mabel, and one of the sons.
That would be Bob. We keep calling him Bob. That's Jimmy, right?
No, that's not Jimmy.
The little one is.
No, he's not there.
I quit.
Can you clear the
They all want to love.
door? They do. Now this is my wedding. There's
Oh,
Mabel.
here's the
Yeah.
lady who is getting married this day.
Okay, here comes Mabel and Art. I wanted to see their beautiful hats. Here comes Sally with Nana Weber. And there's my mother and Art. And there Paul and I are. Can see. Oh, there's my dad. Oh, and John Pancratz. He was such a nice, handsome young man. George Rulon. There's Mabel and Art. Nana shaking hands with me. Father Nestor. Those were my attendants, and two of those ladies are gone. Oh, there's Tom Chalner and John, Irene and Catherine. Oh, isn't this fun to see? We loved the hats the mothers wore. Beautiful flowers. That's Jimmy making faces at the camera. Charlie Weber. Oh, they had a good time. George Rulon, Nana and Mabel, Art, Louise, Seal, Louise, Mabel. Now we're back at the Borgersons again.
Leota, we thank you. We've just had the privilege of witnessing the wedding of a very beautiful young lady into a branch, the Pancratz branch of the Borgerson family. Now, let me orient myself here. I don't know where this is, but that's Ed Kroom. There's Altina. Now, Art again with Altina. I'm doing my best to do what I can do. If I can identify these people and be lucky most of the time, I'm happy.
You've done good.
I get A for effort.
Paul and Mabel. Oh, and that's one of my little kids. Which one is it? Must
Now,
be
this
Paul.
is taken where?
This is in Long Prairie.
at Art's home.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
But this is a different group again.
Yeah, we sure jump from place to place. These Borgersons move a lot. But this is just the beginning. Wait till you see how we move later on.
That Louise raised.
This is the hospital, right? In Long Prairie.
I don't think so. Is it? Well, this is the Long Prairie Hospital, Long Prairie, Minnesota, which was largely...
Bloody Manor.
That's where Louise
Now we're in Appleton, Wisconsin all of a sudden. Ralph and Minnie Garrison. One more wonderful Presbyterian minister in the family.
Helen, Dave.
Oh, and Helen and Dave.
Helen and Dave
Mhm.
Watson from Appleton, Wisconsin.
Minnie,
And
Minnie and Ralph.
Minnie and Ralph, Helen's parents. There they are in front.
And Connie.
I wish I could give you the date of this, but I can't.
Ralph Garrison.
Yes, indeed. Ralph Garrison and Minnie.
Dave and Helen.
Yes, Dave and Helen Watson, who also live in Appleton.
Oh, that's Marge, isn't it?
So with Sally.
With Sally?
There's Pearl Fulkerson again.
He with his head down.
Yeah, here's more of Ralph and Minnie Garrison at Appleton, Wisconsin, of course. There, for some reason, is Pearl
And
Fulkerson
Mabel.
and
Mabel Pancratz.
Mabel Pancratz.
And there's Dave and
Dave Watson. Dave Watson.
Dave Watson and Garrison.
That must be the church in Appleton, Wisconsin.
Yeah.
That he served.
That was served by Reverend Garrison. Well, we show you everything. No, I'm
I
lost.
think that was a house they lived in.
That's probably the home they used long, long ago somewhere. This is another house. We're getting into history that I'm not familiar with. All I can do is give you my best guesses. No, I'm not familiar with that place or yet with this place.
Is that the Watson's house?
Somebody has just suggested to me that's the home of Dave and Helen Watson in Appleton, Wisconsin. I know they have a fine home there.
Connie and Jack.
Oh, yeah.
Jack.
Connie and Jack
Sturgis.
and the Sturgis are now from Seattle, Washington. Now we have another picture of Louise Borgerson,
Yes, Fulkerson.
and there's Gene Fulkerson. He is in absentia today, but he's always in some place strange. Now we're at a reunion that
Detroit
I
Lakes. and
think
Detroit.
is held in Detroit Lakes, Minnesota. And here comes a whole bunch of folks, and I think for a little while the Baser family is going to predominate, and so I shall give you one of the Baser family now.
Yes, yeah, there's the Basiers in the front row, along with Lucille. There's Mildred, Reen, Lucille, just to the moving to the right now. Harry Basier back with Ed Kroom against the tree. Molly waving from the back. Yes, and there's Tina. There's Agnes with Tina. Mildred off there. Yeah, there all the Basiers claned up together. Bernie, Jean, Mildred, Bunny, and Reen in the front row. Yeah. And Harry Basier, Agnes, Tina in the back, Art and Louise. Great time in Detroit Lakes. Yeah. A reunion within the reunion. Yeah. Back to you, Wally.
Gene Parker, we thank you. We're indebted to you for the identification of all those people. We know you know them. And we all know them. And you know something? We don't watch any of them out of the corner of our eye. That just goes for Borgerson. Again, Agnes, Joy, Jean Fulgerson's wife, and we're jumping around pretty fast. I guess this is it was the survivors of one generation. And the youngster sneaked in there. Yeah. Tina, Agnes, Bernice. I've got to when they get closer. There's Bernice. Again, Bernice. Billy Fair. Louise Borgerson. Oh, Jean Fulgerson's wife, Dorothy. About the audio, I'm not sure whether this is all for historical purposes or hysterical purposes. Are we noticing this is the funeral home in Plentywood, Montana, and our sister Pearl is having some fun in her flowers that surround the place. Marjorie Fulkerson and my wife are accompanying her at the moment, and that's Pearl and I. This, now we've moved to Eglin, North Dakota, and that old shack about, at the turn of the century was the home of the Borgerson family when they first moved there. Actually, it's a log house surrounded by a house. This is the old store in Eglin, North Dakota, the north side of it, if you please. And now we jump to Oakland, Iowa. Fulkerson and I are using the last few minutes of a film, and this starts the business of the reunions, because this is where we held it in 1971 at the Holiday Inn in Fergus Falls, Minnesota. I think the first character you're going to see here is a gentleman from northeastern Montana. And throughout the whole series, yeah, that's Jean Fulkerson. Throughout the whole series of these pictures of reunions in various places, if you see that most of the folks are kind of watching out of the corner of their eye, it's probably because Fulkerson is around. Now, these are the seniors at this time. Agnes, Wallace. Now, Minnie wasn't able to come, and so we honored her with an empty chair. There was Joy and Altina. Arthur, with his beautiful white hair, at the end of the line there. Agnes gives us a wave. Joy gives us a wave. Art gives us a wave. Now this is the rest of the gang. This is still there in Fergus Falls, and you can probably identify them as, we can tell that's Louise Borgerson joining the gang. I see Molly waving. There's Altina. Well, this is the same setup. Now with some of the juniors in behind them. have joined us. The Barretts from Faribault and the folks from Wisconsin. There's the Fargo contingent. Paul and Leota. Art again. Now we're taking another run through. And just a bunch of hams, if you want my opinion. Me, myself. Oh, they're a great crowd. Now, I guess this is still all with that first year's reunion in Fergus Falls, Minnesota. Those are the 5 seniors that remain. Agnes, Joy, Tina, Art, and I. We go from here. Well, we take a respite and go to Plentywood, Montana for a sad occasion where our sister Pearl was buried after a bad accident a fatal accident out in Washington. And those are those that attended. There's Dave Fulkerson, Gene's son, and Bob Robke from Alaska. The casket and the flowers. Now we're leaving the house, going to the services. There's Art, Agnes, Joy, Tina, Art, Paul Pancratz. Now we have moved to a reunion in Wisconsin a couple of years later. I apologize for this film. We had just come back from an air trip and they had x-rayed this film too many times. So this is the best we can do with the audio. I mean with the video. Now you could identify Tina a little bit ago. I mean Minnie. Even through the fog of this film. Some of these pictures are made inside and some of them are made in the solarium of this very nice motel in Appleton, Wisconsin. About all I can do is to apologize for the quality of the film. There's Joy again, of course, Minnie. They're going right by fast, and I can't even identify some of these folks myself. Can I? This is in Fargo in 1972. At least that's what the sign just said. I haven't identified the location yet. I think we skipped some. Oh, on the way home from this Appleton reunion, we stopped in Fargo because they weren't able to be there. Now, this is Fritz Wild and I and an old dentist, all celebrating the graduation class of 1925 Eglin High School, and this is 1975, so it's 50 years later. Now we're scouting around Fargo and Moorhead for a place maybe to have another reunion. Whether it materialized or not, I don't know, but I think we did settle for another year in Fargo. This is Lucille Edenborg's back door of her home. Nice home in Fargo. And Fulkerson, her husband Roy, and the 4 of us again. Boy, a lot of smooching going on here. But that's one of the nice things about a reunion. You get to kiss all the pretty girls. Now hold it higher, Molly. What year was that? Anyway, I know that this is in Detroit Lakes, Minnesota.
1973.
That would be 1973. And you know, for just a little bit now, I'm going to give you the honor of listening to Gene Parker right out here in Missoula while we're doing this, because most of this reunion is mixed up, wonderfully mixed up with the base here reunion the same year.
Well, let's see if I can identify some. Here we go with Mildred, Reen. Whoops, who's that? And Jean in the front row, Mildred, and going on the back row. Well, here we are with a whole gang again. And there they're standing around. Bernie on the right, Jean, Mildred, Bernice, and Reen base here. There's my dad in the back, and back to Wally.
Well, you were doing so well. I hate to take this as a kind of an interruption, but you see we have wildlife in the background. This was quite a nice place in Detroit Lakes, Minnesota. While we're about this now, I'm going to introduce you to Molly, and she's going to say a few words.
No, I didn't want to say anything. But there was the family. There's three of the important Borgersons right there. And it was a beautiful spot. That was on the balcony of the unit that we had. It was lovely. Okay, Wallace, it's your show.
She said the important Borgersons, and that was when you were looking just at me. I wonder what kind of brownie points she's trying to come up with. Now, we're going to take a look at Dorothy Fulkerson. And a little bit later, I think she's going to have a little performance for us. She doesn't know it, but I'm going to catch her on camera when she does her exercises. And also, she has brought along a real cute little trick duck. We're all amused by it, and you might as well be too when the time comes. Of course, you all recognize Art Borgerson. There's the Barretts, the Grahams, I should say, from Faribault, Minnesota. And at far end, oh, here is Mrs. Graham. Now, this is Miss Molly Borgerson trying it. Here, Dorothy, she is really going. Dorothy Fulkerson. Now we've gone to 19 what? Oh, we made a trip back to Hartford, Connecticut, and we wanted to visit the Thayers, who weren't able to travel to reunions anymore. And this is their retirement home in Hartford, Connecticut. Marjorie is sitting there with him. Rosemary, pardon me. And that's Boris, you know, is in there. There's Rosemary again at Billy's left, Billy Thayer. It was a lovely home, and they were enjoying their stay there. There's Billy by himself and Joy. Now, this is the home of Dr. Rousseau and Mary Rousseau, Rosemary Rousseau, in Hartford, Connecticut. It's a fine, wonderful, big mansion. We enjoyed spending a weekend there. That's Dr. Rousseau himself, a fine and well-known obstetrician. Dr. Rousseau, Dr. and Billy and Joy, Rosemary and Molly. Now we're in 1975 and back to Detroit Lakes, Minnesota once more. There's been Helen, Art, Tina, Wallace. I think there's another senior there we've missed. We'll see. But this is the juniors. There's Tina and her husband, Ed Kroom. Paul Pancratz with a pretty good start of whiskers. The Grahams, Connie, Dave. There's Dave again, Molly, Seal, Tina, and then the Garrisons, and there's Paul. Now, you know them all as well as I do. You can name them yourself. Barney Bass here is sitting right here beside me during this audio scribe, but he wasn't here that particular year. You do see him I'm going to ask him to comment. There's the seniors again. By now everybody's familiar with them. Don't have to name them again and again. I guess, though, about all I'm here for is to tell you who you're looking at. And I'm sure you know already. Probably would appreciate it if I just kept my mouth shut once in a while for a little while.
Yeah, keep going, Willie.
Some more of the whole gang.
There's Jack Borgerson.
Yeah. Now this is Egland, North Dakota, where so much of this all started back in the turn of the century. There's a school at one end of Main Street. This is called Jack's place because Jack was the first man that was put in jail in this new stone jail. I have to confess that I spent one Halloween night in that jug my own self. As a kid, of course. We're back now at the reunion business, and this is 1977, and this is at the Oak Manor Hotel in Fargo, North Dakota. And you can identify these people as they approach. There's Lucille, there's Agnes. Now here comes Altina and Ed Kroom, and they're being joined by Agnes, and now they're being joined by many, many more characters. There's the wild duck that Dorothy Fulkerson brought along. We're going to have to watch for a little performance of that here yet. That was a cute thing. Well, you're going to get cheated. Bernice, Eugene Fulkerson. They're going so fast I can't name them all. Comes the Watsons. Oh, this is going to be an interval that really doesn't belong in reunion, but Fulkersons took a week's tour on a Caribbean cruise, and that's something I should have explained and didn't. No, it's not that important. You know, these cruises are wonderful. Every day you can look out across the water and see the same damn ocean you saw yesterday. The next day and the next day and the next day. The scenery has to be all on board. Now, we're having a party, and this guy is pretending to be a rich, oil-rich Arab. This is a country on board the ship. Now we're back to Earth. This is a wonderful picture of Agnes at Alexandria, Minnesota in 1978. And these characters you have all seen before. To see them again.
Great.
Dorothy Fulkerson, Gene Fulkerson, Paul Pancratz, Bernie's bass here.
Jordan.
Yeah, Jordan, that's the first time we've seen her on it.
Go ahead.
No. We're still at it. I don't have to tell you again, this is the Kissin' Huggin' Borgersons. And some more seniors. I'm just going to let you look while I shut up for just a little while.
Yeah.
I mean, it's time now for a little more audio.
Yes.
Well, I'll tell you what. I've been doing my best here, boring you to death, being very, very repetitious, but some of these characters are nice to know, and nice to know about. Feel remiss that I haven't introduced a gentleman that's sitting right behind me, and I'm sure he's all loaded with things he'd like to say. Get up close. Here's Dr. Barney Baser.
Well, you know, I wasn't at this reunion. And I have a hard time sometimes recognizing some of these people. But, no, this was Alexandria, wasn't it? And no, I wasn't at this one. I can see Art sitting in the wheelchair there. And I saw, where I saw, yeah, there's Molly, well, dear old Molly, boy. Can really wave those hands. And there's Barbara Watson again. She looks the same to me. Here we got Wally and Connie and Margie, Lucille, Jack, or Dave. And there's Connie again. Well, who there's this is Fargo. The only thing I want on this last part, I'll say,
Well, now, this is a kind of a post-reunion gathering. I think it's the last day before we disperse. We're out on the west side of the Holiday Inn in Fargo, North Dakota. And I think that we're debating whether to hold the next reunion here or wherever. And pretty soon somebody's going to come up with a suggestion. And I think they're going to have it in writing. And it was not a very hard invitation to accept. There it is, Montana in 1989. And it didn't take long to vote yes. There's Dr. Barney Bass there. Here he
And
is.
see, when Wally tells me to dance, I dance. Welcome to Missoula 88. 89.